On this week's show, we talk about Week 2 in the CFL, and the Albany Empire wins the National Arena League title over the Columbus Lions.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of the origin of the Four Horsemen nickname.
That and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode 210 for August 17th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yes, we're here, and we got cameras on again 2 weeks in a row.
It's a little disconcerting, but yes, we're doing this again.
Yeah, we're going to experiment with the YouTube stuff some more.
Yep.
See what what works for us.
This is all a work in progress. Bear with us.
Yeah.
As Adam drags me kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
I've been doing that since this whole podcast started. You didn't even want to do the podcast to start. And here you are 4 years later. It's your baby. And now that we want to do a little YouTube, you're, doing nothing but giving me pushback.
Yeah. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, all this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Oh, and now, YouTube.
Yeah, added the thing to the script, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And I didn't read that correct. Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of the show, as well as selected video highlights.
Yes.
It's going to take me a couple weeks to get used
probably.
to that.
It's gonna be, like we said, it's gonna be an experiment. But now you will have an option to listen to the whole audio on YouTube. So you're just gonna see a single picture with however long the podcast is. But then we're gonna figure out which portions of the show we should post every week. Obviously, not everything's gonna go up day one, but for the following few days during the week, maybe we'll get 2 or 3, 4. Depends on how juicy of a show we get. Depends on how much we fight and bicker, and if there's an actual throwdown in the man cave.
I'm sure the more fighting and bickering, the more highlights we'll have.
Probably.
All right, well, let's review what happened this week, starting with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
Yes. We're going to start off with the CFL. It's week 2, and I know we said it last week, but I'm going to say it again this week. It's great to have the CFL back.
Oh, man, it's so good to watch CFL games.
I mean, you could still tell they're still knocking off some rust. Some of the teams, haven't looked great.
Yep.
But, everybody's figuring it out. We're only 2 weeks into this abbreviated season.
Yep.
So, let's just kick things off with Thursday night. We had the British Columbia Lions defeat the Calgary Stampeders 15-9. This was a very defensive game. Only one touchdown during the game for the BC Lions. But Calgary quarterback Beau Levi Mitchell threw 4 interceptions during the game. So that British Columbia Lions defense picking him off.
Yeah.
So this is the first time in his career he's thrown 4 interceptions. It's also the first time in his career, I believe they said, that he has lost 2 straight games to start a season.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal there. I mean, we thought Calgary might be a decent team this year, but so far struggling a little bit. In BC, ever since the second half of last week's game, that defense has been pretty stout. They haven't allowed a touchdown since the first half of that first game. Because they were down 31-9 in that first half, or 32-9 in that first half, and then they ended up only allowing 1 point in the second half against the Rough Riders, and now this week only 9 points all game long to the Stampeders. So that British Columbia Lions defense has stepped up.
Well, you're going to see that as a theme this week. The teams we thought were going to be good are not so good, at least so far, and the teams that were just supposed to be so are the ones that are 2-0 right now.
Yeah, like I said, the CFL's always, you never know who's going to be great and who's going to be terrible from season to season. It's weird how it just varies. Sometimes a lot of the names don't change, but that just happens. And then also with British Columbia, they also after the game, a couple days after the game, they released the global kicker Takeru Yamasaki, who we were obviously gushing over that first game last week. First Japanese player to score points. But production's still a thing, and he was only 4 of 8 on his field goals in 2 games. So, I mean, kind of hard to justify keeping a guy. As cool of a story as it was, stories don't win games.
Right. I doubt he'll be picked up by anybody else. But it was a cool story for the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, we wish him all the best, and hopefully he lands somewhere else.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens to him. Yeah, 4 of 8 field goals in 2 games. Moving on, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers pretty much walked all over the Toronto Argonauts, 20-7. Winnipeg quarterback Zach Collaros was 32 of 40 passing with 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. But also a standout from this game, and I loved watching the highlights of this guy. Argos running back John White had 12 carries. 12.
Yeah, only 12 carries.
Only 12 carries, and he still got 111 yards and the lone touchdown for Toronto. So a little bright spot there for the Argos after their first loss of the season.
Yeah, anytime that a Canadian Football League running back gets 100 yards in a game, that's pretty special big. Because it's almost like the Arena League where they've got just 2 downs, so they,
it's a lot of gunslinging.
3 downs, but 2 downs before they have to punt. Yeah. And it's a lot of passing, So if you get somebody that is actually a pretty good runner, that's something that's noteworthy.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. And I know the Argos went through a couple quarterbacks, I think, during the game. I can't remember if it was for injury or if they just pulled Bethel Thompson.
I don't recall. I saw the highlights and I don't recall.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully Toronto can turn around. I always go back and forth between Toronto being my team, Hamilton kind of being my team.
And Toronto was supposed to be one of the better teams this year too. And now,
but hey, you coming up against the defending Grey Cup champs.
Yeah.
And Winnipeg has looked pretty good the first couple weeks of the season. All right, and then moving on, the Montreal Alouettes got their first game of the season after being on bye. They defeated the Edmonton Elks 30-13. Montreal running back William Stanbeck rushed 18 times for 112 yards, and then quarterback Vernon Adams was 13 of 21 for 211 yards, passing with 2 touchdowns. And in Montreal's Mario Albert had an 85-yard punt return for a touchdown, which is the first of the season in the CFL. So the Alouettes come out swinging after a early season bye.
They're running on all cylinders right now early in the season. That punt return was a thing of beauty.
I mean, the Alouettes haven't been a team, to be concerned with for a few years now. It's been a while. But, hey, I love seeing them coming out swinging. I like seeing different teams kind of being at the top there. So we'll see if this momentum kind of holds for Montreal. And for the Elks, 0-2 to start the season with your new name.
Yeah.
A little disheartening there.
The fans are there. The fans are loving it, but they just haven't got a win yet.
Yep. And then the final game of the week, the Saskatchewan Roughriders also decimated the Hamilton Tiger Cats 30-8. How about this? Saskatchewan quarterback Cody Fajardo was 17 of 25 passing for 222 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, as well as a rushing touchdown. And how about 7 rushes for 66 yards in that game, too? So great game for him. And Saskatchewan, we watched a little bit of this live, and there's the rule in the CFL where you have to be a yard off the line of scrimmage as a defensive line.
At the snap of the ball.
And at the goal line, the lone touchdown for the Ticats came at like a goal line situation. They tried running it 4 or 5 plays in a row, but Saskatchewan kept lining up offsides. You kept seeing there's a definitive line, guys.
Right.
And you got dudes with their hands over the line, guys standing over the line. You know the rules.
Yeah.
Why are you guys getting mad that they keep throwing flags on you? Play the game. Come on. Like, it's obvious. Like, there's the line, and everybody was crossing over. It was frustrating to watch.
Yeah, the ball was on the 1 yard line, so they had to be behind
the goal line.
The goal line, and you could see several hands that were in the
4
field.
4 or 5 plays in a row. Maybe one time, like, okay, I get it. But then 2 times, you're like, really, guys? 3 times, you're like, what is going on? Who's coaching these losers? And then the 4th time it happens, you just, like, throw your hands in the air and, like, just let them score. Yeah. Get it over with. Gosh, apparently they don't want to, not have a penalty. So.
Yeah. Well, Cody Fajardo, some of his runs were designed runs, but at least one that I saw on the highlights was a broken play that he just, picked it up and ran and did well. So, he had a great night running, an even better night passing, and come out with a win.
He's had a couple good, strong games.
Yes, he has.
And then on bye this week, the Ottawa Redblacks, who were 1-0 last week. So we look forward to seeing them. I think next week they play. I forget who they play next week. I had it written down somewhere, but I misplaced it. I'm sure they'll be if I'm doing this in post.
Well, we'll talk about it next week.
But the standings, real quick. Yes, we're 2 weeks in, but we're going to quickly go over the standings in the CFL. In the West, you had Saskatchewan and Winnipeg both at 2-0, British Columbia at 1-1, and then Calgary and Edmonton rounding out the West with an 0-2 record apiece. Jumping over to the East, Montreal jumps up into the 1-0 column with Ottawa, Toronto at 1-1, and then Hamilton there at the bottom at 0-2. 2. We transition now to the Indoor Football League. It's Week 17, 1 week to go after this. Friday night, the Arizona Rattlers defeated the Spokane Shock 30-20. Then we had Iowa defeat Sioux Falls 55-49. In overtime, the Barnstormers defeat the Storm. This was a big comeback win for them, and apparently it helps them clinch a playoff spot. The only thing about the IFL website I don't like is they don't really tell you who's in the playoffs yet or not, last I checked. So,
well, they might have had an article a few days later kind of.
But I like looking at the standings and seeing the little X or Y, like who's in the playoffs.
Right.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, they could do a better job
there. Lots of room of improvement for the IFL.
It would make our job a lot easier.
Yes, it would. And that's what this is all about, make our job easier. Then the game of the week was the Frisco Fighters and the Green Bay Blizzard. And this game was close at halftime. I believe it was 14-7 in favor of the Fighters. And the second half, totally different, situation where the Fighters just came out and just decimated Green Bay. They win the game 38-20. So, I mean, Frisco is one of the top 3 teams in the league.
Right.
Obviously, they should have a playoff spot. And, of course, we're rooting for Clint Dolezal.
Sure, coach of the Fighters.
Then the Tucson Sugar Skulls shocked the Duke City Gladiators 63-59 in a shootout, which was also a comeback victory for the Sugar Skulls. Good to see them getting back in the win column. Then Sunday, we're
same old.
We were feeling really bad for the Northern Arizona Wranglers, who fell to the Massachusetts Pirates 51-16. Wow. And then on bye this week in the IFL, the Bismarck Bucks. So quickly running down the order of top to bottom. The number 1 seed right now, Arizona. I did this last week. The Arizona Rattlers at number 1. Number 2, the Frisco Fighters, followed by the Massachusetts Pirates. Iowa jumps up to the number 4 spot. Bismarck holds steady at the number 5. Spokane falls to 6, and then Duke City falls to 7. Sioux Falls stands pat at 8. Green Bay at 9. Tucson at 10, and then Northern Arizona Wranglers at 11.
Yeah.
So,
rounding out the bottom.
1-12, I believe they are now,
yeah.
And poor Northern Arizona. I do feel for them.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's their first season, so they're learning. The coaches, players, everything. It's all brand new to them. So, better luck next year.
Yeah, we'll see. Now we move on to the National Arena League, where they had their championship game in Albany, New York, between the Empire of Albany and the Lions of Columbus. Which saw the Empire. This was a shootout of a game too.
Yeah,
saw a little bit of this.
We did.
Albany defeats the Lions 79-62. Yeah, the last couple of minutes of that game just dragged on. It already looked like Albany had it all locked up, and that last couple of minutes just dragged on with penalties and just a bunch of other stuff going on.
But it's just what you want from an indoor league game. Very high scoring, championship game. Both of these teams deserve to be there.
Yeah, Albany would have cracked 80 points had their kicker not missed that extra point on that last touchdown there. But Albany quarterback Tommy Grady, wide receiver Malachi Jones for Albany, former Arena League.
Yeah, they were there in 2019 when the Albany Empire won the Arena Football League championship in its last season.
So how about that?
They're still there with the team.
You win the 2019 Arena Bowl championship, the last one. Then you're off for a year. Then you come back into a whole different league. You bring back a lot of your guys from the Arena League, who are studs, by the way, and you win a title in this National Arena League. So if you're an Albany fan, 2 of the last 3 years have been pretty fun over there.
Yeah, it looked like it was a pretty good crowd too.
Yeah, it
wasn't a sellout, I don't think, but it was good. A good crowd. Good. They were into the game. They loved that team, and the uniforms and the helmets are the exact same thing for Albany that they were in the Arena League. So it was almost like we were watching an Arena Football League game. Like it. Yeah, I was looking at that game like, oh man, I miss Arena Football.
It was weird watching the kickoff and you didn't see the big rebound.
Right.
That threw me off. But also, let's go to the Columbus side real quick. All 3 Columbus losses this season were to Albany.
Yeah, they finished 7-3.
Yep. And this isn't the first time Columbus has made it to the championship of the NAL.
Right, they're a good team.
They're a good team, but they haven't won a title yet in the NAL. I believe they've gone to 1 or 2 of these games and lost in the championship. So, another tough pill to swallow. But I mean, we'll see if the Lions can bounce back next season.
Yep, Columbus was definitely the second best team in the league this year. We thought maybe they might put it together for the championship game, but being at home in Albany with that crowd and everything, it was just a little bit too much.
Yeah, and I guess right before we round up the scoreboard this week, you did want to mention that Saturday night, what a night for if you're a football fan, because you had...
It was a big night at our house.
Yeah, you had several football options because you had the National Arena League title game.
Yes.
You had some IFL games on YouTube and on Stadium Stadium Network.
Yep, I was actually able to get that to stream on our satellite dish, and it looked pretty good. So I got to see Clint Dozell on the sidelines on the Frisco game.
Yep, you could find CFL games on ESPN Plus, or I believe ESPN2 had the game the other night.
Don't recall exactly.
One of the ESPN stations had the game live on their main network, and then the NFL preseason games galore. There were games all over the place. Right. NFL Network. I'm sure if you're listening across the country, there was a game somewhere locally for you to find.
Well, we saw all four of those leagues Saturday night. We watched some of the NAL game, the championship game. We watched some of the IFL game. We caught.
I watched a couple IFL games. I was flipping around on YouTube.
We caught a CFL game before I fell asleep at halftime. And then, some preseason games. We were watching the Los Angeles Rams to see if Stafford was going to play. He didn't.
He didn't play.
But we touched on each one of those Saturday night. So
just to have those
four
options.
Different leagues. Yeah.
Just to have those options is great.
Yep.
So, all right, and that's it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. And now we throw it over to Randy.
Okay.
With the news.
All right. Well, let's start in the NFL. Where the big news this week was...
the biggest of news.
We attended Lions training camp last week.
Plaster that all over the headlines, everybody. We went to training camp for one day. It was hot.
Oh, it was hot, but it wasn't too hot. We thought it was going to rain.
Yeah.
So we were expecting to get halfway there and then find out it was, canceled for the morning because their practice started at 8:30. So we had to leave the house at 5:30 in the morning and got there around 7:30 when the gates opened. Practice started at 8:30. And the weather was pretty decent.
Weather wasn't bad. Eventually the cloud cover, because we were like, oh crap, is it going to rain? But then the cloud cover, it was just a little overcast, cooled down a little bit, had a nice breeze. Then the sun wasn't bearing down on us, so thank goodness, no sunburn or nothing.
Yeah.
All in all, training camp is fine. It is something nice to do every couple of years, maybe not every year.
Well, you were there looking at the souvenirs. You wanted to buy a $400 authentic Lions helmet.
Well, hold on. I'm okay with a replica helmet, but instead, I ended up buying this
for $200.
I ended up buying the training camp hat that they had. I'm not a big fan of the what do they call that? The fit hats.
Oh yeah.
I like the ones with the
it's
snap.
not adjustable.
Yeah, I like the trucker style snap hats.
Sure.
This is a little weird, but I don't mind it. It's a nice looking hat, and it's the same hat that Lions players and coaches were wearing on the sidelines of the preseason game the other night. So, hey, what can you do? But, training camp was all right. We got to take some pictures by cool little podium they set up.
Yep, they had a podium. Looked like you were talking to the media.
It'll never match what they did in Saginaw Valley.
Sure.
Saginaw Valley was a great family experience. Now it's a little it's a little more confined. There's not a lot of space there to do stuff. But they still got activities for the kids. And, they had a balloon guy. Yep. Sometimes they have a Lions legend. I don't know who that was getting pictures there the other day.
I didn't
recognize him.
There wasn't anybody there when
they didn't have a sign.
There.
But when we were walking out, there was I knew he was a Lion player. I just couldn't place the face, in a name.
I didn't even see him.
Yeah, you weren't paying attention.
Well, 2 years ago, I got my picture taken with Corey Schlesinger. And, you did too. But the important thing is that I got my picture taken with Corey Schlesinger, and that was pretty cool. Yeah. And I assumed they were going to have somebody this year, but when we came in, we passed by that spot where they take pictures, and there wasn't anybody.
Like I said, whoever that guy was, I knew he was a player. I just couldn't think of a name, so I didn't go up and be like, I got a picture with you. But, so whatever.
And they had a giant Lions helmet.
Yeah,
I got my picture
taken
with that. There's a couple of photo opportunities here and there, but like I said, it's nothing compared to what they used to do at Saginaw Valley. That was just a great experience to take you kids to every year. But this is okay, and you get to watch practice a little bit.
The only critique I have, Detroit Lions organization, you need to put some stuff over those bleachers so we don't get beaten down by the sun to watch you guys practice. That's my only critique.
Yeah,
everything else would be perfect. I'm fine with everything else, but the fact that we got to sit there in those bleachers with no tarp over us, and if you want to go sit under a tarp, you have to go sit behind the bleachers.
Right.
We can't see nothing.
That,
So come on, just cover the bleachers. That's all I'm asking. Help a brother out. Come on. And I shouldn't have to go buy one of those $20 or $30 or $40 or $50 sun hats with the Lions logo on it just to have a little protection from the sun. Come on now.
Don't you have one of those already?
Yeah, but it doesn't have a Lions logo on it.
Okay. And then a few days later, the Bills came to town, and the Lions lost.
Yeah, we don't talk preseason.
16-50. No, it was just weird to know.
He just wants to bring up the Lions, just so we.
It was just weird to know that we had seen the team just 2 days before.
Oh my God! Whoop-de stinking do. We saw a team that played a preseason game a couple days later. Big deal. I don't care. It's preseason. Nobody got hurt.
Fine.
Moving on.
Fine. Let's move on to some other news. Jerry Jones.
Yes. Okay. No. Hold on. Yeah. Hard Knocks, episode 1. Let's talk about that before we get to the devil himself. One of the worst people on the planet.
Oh, come on.
Showing his true colors on national television. Hard Knocks, episode 1. Okay. Not totally enamored. We don't like the Cowboys anyway.
Right.
But I like Dak. This show's made me like Zeke a little bit more. I think Zeke's a little showboaty, but I like seeing his friendship with Dak Prescott.
Really good friend.
Didn't focus on a lot of the guys, the roster bubble guys. That's always my favorite part about the show is following some of the roster bubble guys.
Well, maybe they don't have time this year.
Maybe not, or maybe we'll start getting into them starting this week.
Yeah.
If they had one though, their first round pick from Penn State, I can't remember, Micah Parsons. That's his name. Follow him a little bit, and seeing his attitude on the field, like wanting to stay out there, but they pulled him after a while, like because it's a preseason game. What do you expect? But, I mean, other than him, I can't think of any other guys they really followed other than Dak and Zeke,
right?
Which I get.
Yeah, that was the main thing. They showed some highlights of the Hall of Fame game, which I didn't think they were going to do this
I didn't
week.
think that'd be episode 1, but yeah.
But, I mean, the show starts out with a close-up picture of the scar on Dak Prescott's ankle from his surgery where he broke his ankle last year in a game, or 2 years ago. Was it last year?
It was last season.
Okay,
October last season.
Right. So, that was kind of weird because at first you didn't know what you were looking at, and then they kind of zoom back and then you could see.
Then he also says that he had an extra surgery that nobody knew about or talked about, which I was like, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So the scar actually kind of looks like a letter Y.
He called it a wishbone.
That too, but like one side was one surgery, and then they like opened it up and went in a different direction, so it looks kind of like a wishbone or letter Y on his ankle from the two different surgeries.
But I know you wanted to know, Zeke Elliott having to research and watch a YouTube video on how to tape up a present.
He said this was the first time that they've ever exchanged birthday presents this year. I mean, they've been friends forever, but he had
not forever. Since they both got drafted to the team.
But he had to look it up on YouTube to watch a video on how to wrap a present, and of course, he did terrible at it.
He's better than most people.
Yeah, that was.
If I were him, I would have just thrown it in a big old bag and handed it.
For as much money as he's making, can't he hire somebody to do that?
You think he would have a personal assistant or something? But
really?
But I mean, let's not ignore the demon-shaped elephant in the room that is Jerry Jones, the monster himself, showing his true colors on national television by putting salt on a McDonald's breakfast McGriddle. We all knew this guy was a beast, and here he is just throwing salt on a McGriddle for no good reason.
Yeah, just wrong.
When after we saw that, I had to stop and get a McGriddle myself for research purposes, by the way, to make sure that it did not need extra salt. And guess what? I am very happy to report it did not need extra salt. Okay? Even, he had sausage, egg. I think I got the exact same thing. Sausage, egg, and cheese, McGriddle. You do not need salt.
Yeah, didn't we watch that the night before we went to the Lions practice?
We caught the clip on the drive to training camp.
And then the next morning, all you were going is, "Can we stop at McDonald's?"
No, I didn't know if I wanted to do that yet. But when we were on the drive and we had time, I was like, "Okay, let's do it. I want to research this McGriddle thing." Pure research.
Oh yeah, it was all for the show. It was
all for the show, of course. Everything I do is for this show. So, yeah, Jerry Jones is the monster we all thought he was. He should be thrown in prison.
Oh, please.
He should
come on.
Be thrown in the stocks there in Dallas, and people should throw tomatoes at him.
That's enough. That's enough on that subject. All right, let's move on to something else.
Don't stifle my creativity.
Yeah, I have to. The Atlanta Falcons are the first team to reportedly have 100% of its players vaccinated against COVID-19.
Yeah, this is a fun thing to wake up to this morning and see that news.
I say good for them.
Or maybe, no, I think I saw it last night. But even then, you have to find out that, wow, a whole team can verify or supposedly verify that they have 100% vaccination amongst its players is pretty awesome. Yeah. That doesn't mean the coaching staff is fully vaccinated.
That's true, but if it's all of their players, then it must be everybody, that's obviously not going to make the team is also vaccinated, because it's not just the starters, but it's everybody in camp right now is vaccinated, and that's good. I mean, you and I are vaccinated. We believe in getting vaccinated. If you go back to this show back in March of last year when the whole COVID thing first came out, we were not, we didn't think the pandemic was going to be that bad.
Oh, well, we thought, a month, a week, a few weeks?
And we were wrong.
Of course, because we're idiots.
When the chance came, we got vaccinated. Our whole family is vaccinated. So, yeah, it didn't take us long to realize this is a lot more serious than we thought, and we need.
And now with this Delta variant, I went back to work. We're wearing masks again.
Yeah. And
I get it, being precautious. Yeah. Now my next question is, while I still feel fine, going out and about, I don't feel like I'm worried about getting. I know you can still get it no matter what.
Sure.
It's just your chances are reduced, whatever. But, I feel confident out there. And I'm curious now about when do we get these boosters that we've heard them talk about?
They just authorized. I just saw that this morning that they are authorizing that for right now. It's for highly people with highly deficient immune system, and mainly they talked about people who maybe had a recent like a lung transplant or some kind of transplant like that, where their body is rejecting a new organ or something, that they should get a booster shot. But I think it's probably going to be coming for everybody in the next few months, because they're saying that you should get a booster at 8 months after you've had your first one. So for me, it would be like November. But no, I'll roll up my arm, get a booster shot this fall, and get us through the winter. I'm fine with that.
And then, another COVID-related story, the Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas has said that they will they require people to show that they have been vaccinated before attending games, which interesting. I think bold. I mean, you're seeing that from New York. A lot of places are requiring that you've verified that you've been vaccinated, like movie theaters and stuff. And then LA is doing the same thing, LA County. And now to hear Las Vegas is doing that for Allegiant Stadium. I mean, how soon before all NFL teams are doing that? So this will be a big domino effect. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and we've got tickets to the Thanksgiving game. Of course, you've got tickets.
I got tickets to a different game. Yep. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we have to take our card with us and show that.
I usually got my card on me anyway.
Right. Yeah, I carry mine all the time. All right. Moving on to another story. The Washington football team has announced that they are down to 3 finalists.
Oh, really? They're down to three names. So what are the 3 names?
We don't know.
Why tell us?
I saw the headline, and I'm like, oh, great, let's find out what these names are, and we can talk about it on the show. And I'm reading the article, and they didn't say what those 3 are. Basically, they said that it's not going to be the Warriors.
Oh, yeah, we've known that for a while. They're sticking away from Warriors. Yeah. But hold on. Who goes out and goes, all right, everybody, we have 3 final names? And then you just pause. That's it?
Well,
you're just going to come out and say that, and then everybody goes, hey, what are they? And they say, oh, we're not going to tell you.
I'll bet in the next day or so we're going to find out what those 3 names are.
No, they need to release this information now so we can talk about it on the show. Have we not learned anything today, people? Gosh. Everything is about this show.
Yeah, we need other people to make our job easier.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Is that so much to ask? God.
Yes, sometimes it is. Okay, Tim Tebow has been released by the Jaguars.
This was breaking news. We're recording real early in the morning today because I'm busy. We got stuff going on. But, this just broke not that long ago. Tim Tebow released. He posted a couple of tweets on his Twitter or whatever. Thanks, Jaguars organization, blah, blah, blah. Typical.
So who's going to step up and sign him now?
Nobody. I thought this was a joke from the beginning. He's a 30-something-year-old guy who used to play quarterback, is trying to play tight end, but in the middle went and played baseball somewhere. So, come on, guys. And then, come on. We all saw the block over the preseason weekend against the Browns. We saw the whiff block. Yeah. Laughable.
Yeah, you did show me.
It was, man, oh, man.
Did he have any stats in that game?
I don't know. I don't even care. Like I said, it's preseason. Who cares? Stats and all this crap in the preseason mean nothing. I'm already seeing Pro Football Focus rating the Lions running back, the number 1 rated running back through the preseason week 1 so far.
They got to have something to talk about.
Good Lord. This is why I don't like talking preseason. Unless somebody gets hurt or somebody gets cut like Tim Tebow here, there's nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Hey, Trevor Lawrence looked great. Cool. Who was he playing? Was he playing first stringers, second stringers? I don't know. Did he throw a nice ball? Sure. What quarterback can't throw a nice ball? Or Justin Fields with the Bears. Oh, did you see that wide open throw that Justin Fields threw? Yeah, the dude was wide open 30 yards downfield. I would hope he made that pass. Or who was the other quarterback? Wilson, Zach Wilson for the Jets. Oh, he came out and he looked sharp. Oh boy, he led that. I saw an actual headline that said Zach Wilson leads team to victory. The dude played in the first quarter, threw 8 passes, and you're saying he led them to victory. Good Lord, I hate the preseason so much.
Well, these journalists, they're getting into their game mode, too. They've got to come up with stuff every week to get people to read their...
Please, I'm sure they have enough practice of that over the summer. I just hate it. It makes me so frustrated.
It is frustrating.
God, can we please move on to something else?
Let's move on to some college news. Valparaiso University has changed its sports team nickname from the Crusaders to the Beacons. They retired the Crusaders nickname back in February due to concerns over negative association with religious oppression, violence, and hate groups, which I didn't know that until I read that today. Their new mascot is a beacon of light. And that connects with the school's motto, "In thy light, we see light." So you saw the logo.
I did.
It's like a lighthouse with a beacon of light coming out of it.
I like it. The name's interesting and unique.
Yeah, I don't think there's another team called the Beacons.
I didn't know the mascot being called a beacon of light, which seems a little cheesy. Seems like definitely a Hallmark football movie made for TV.
Yeah.
But I think it actually is a lot cooler than it sounds. But hey, I think it's cool. I like the logo, and you got to be. I won't say you have to be more sensitive nowadays, but I mean, you do have to be a little more self-aware. And Crusaders, while I don't think is a bad nickname, I mean, come on, Batman is the Caped Crusader for crying out loud. But I mean, in the context of what their Crusaders meant, and I guess I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's trying to be so politically correct these days that anything that's even a little bit offensive has got to be changed. And
even if it's not a problem now, maybe you got to start considering stuff for the future. Like, hey, in 5, 6, 7, 10 years, is this name going to be a problem somewhere down the road?
Yeah.
Maybe we should get out ahead of it. And I can't honestly say I've heard anybody clamoring for the Crusaders to be changed.
No.
Maybe this is just the sign of school saying, let's get out ahead of this. And just move forward.
Yeah.
And hey, sometimes that's better than wait until your company sponsors pull out and you have to change your racial slur nickname to something that has 3 choices. And we still don't know what the 3 choices are. Gosh.
All right, moving on to another story. The Arizona Bowl has partnered with Barstool Sports.
Hold on. Why did you say it like that? It's Barstool.
I said Barstool.
But the way you say Barstool sounds weird.
Barstool Sports. Is that okay?
That's so weird.
To broadcast their games online. So they're not going to be on ESPN. They're not going to be on ABC. That's who handles all the other bowl games. And this is the first one that's going to be broadcast exclusively online. I think it's a little weird myself. And they've already gotten some backlash because the Pima County Board of Supervisors voted to withdraw almost $40,000 in funding for the game because they don't like the fact that they're going to be online and not on television.
I guess I get that. I mean, Barstool Sports, say what you will, I guess I could see why they're popular. They're a little more hip and they're not the big corporate ESPN,
right,
who essentially monopolizes.
They're like the MTV of sports. Nobody takes them seriously.
I wouldn't say nobody takes them seriously, but I think the MTV of sports is actually a decent analogy there.
Well, thank you.
But I don't know. I think you got to experiment. And if this is obviously good for Barstool.
Well, yeah. They're getting I wouldn't say it's a major bowl game.
No, but it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
And who knows, down the line, maybe we could see a bigger game. I doubt it, but, maybe they'll get some of these lower tier bowl games to pop up on a network, or maybe this shows other smaller, like your stadiums or your CBS Sports Network.
Right. Well, you can still, CBS Sportsnet and NBC Sportsnet, those kind of things. You can still get them on TV.
Yeah, well.
I think it's CBS Sportsnet that does all the Army games. Army, Navy, Air Force. They're big into that. That's fine, but I just wonder if this is going to be the wave of the future, where more and more teams are going to decide to go online. I think it's all about money. If there's money, to go
everything's
online,
about money in college football.
But I didn't really see from what I was reading what they're actually going to be paid by Barstool Sports. They said Barstool Sports was the main sponsor now. So is the name going to be the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl?
Presented
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, who knows? And what kind of commentators are they going to get? Are they going to use some of their in-house personality? No. Their in-house personalities to, that people like catching on Instagram or Twitter or wherever, YouTube, wherever they find all the Barstool Sports. I mean, I follow them a little bit. I'm not a big Barstool Sports fan, but I'm just curious. They do got a couple guys I've seen, do videos talking about news and stuff. So I'm wondering if they'll get those guys or they'll find different announcers to do the game. Professional announcers even.
Yeah, well, we'll be learning more in the weeks to come. And the other big story was the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 are exploring an alliance as a way of containing the SEC's growing influence over college football.
Yeah, they said this isn't limited to just scheduling. This could be a whole lot of different things.
Yeah, they don't know what it's going to look like, but nobody knows what an alliance means. They're just banding together. I don't know what it.
Yeah, like you said, they don't even know what they're doing. Who knows? I think exploring a way to maybe do a lot more interconference games instead of like picking up a game with a MAC. Maybe all these teams agree. Hey, every year, let's Big Ten, you're going to play an ACC and a Pac-12 as your two extra games or whatever, maybe third, whatever, your non-conference games. ACC, same thing. You get a Big Ten, you get a Pac-12. That way you flush out your schedule with, all right, you still got your conference schedule, but you're adding a Big Ten school and you're adding a Pac-12 school every year.
That might help their power ranking.
And I think that's all this would be about. Because if you're fighting the SEC, who doesn't matter who they play, they could play cream puffs all year and they're still going to get voted into the playoff or whatever. So I think it is just a way of them doing that. And they were just talking, I saw a thing on ESPN saying how the Pac-12, they only have Oregon and USC in the top 25 initial preseason poll, which we won't talk about. I don't want to talk about preseason crap and nothing. But they're just saying, like, both of those teams, their biggest games are on the road in other conferences. Like, obviously, USC is going to Notre Dame, and then Oregon's actually going to Ohio State in week 2 of the season. So, like, if the Big 12 or Pac-12's got any shot of making the playoff, they're going to have to win those 2 big games, essentially. Like, they're talking about how they have the lowest percentage chance, whatever, according to their whatever index ESPN makes up, to get into the playoff. So I don't know. I think that it would benefit all of them because I know, like, the Big Ten, while I think they are one of the top 2 conferences, hard to argue with the SEC. Yeah. But Big Ten I still think is up there, and I'm not just saying that because we're in Big Ten country.
We live in Big Ten country, so that's our favorite conference.
I won't say it's my favorite conference, but I'm just saying, like, that's the local conference, and we support them. So. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. I'm waiting for this to develop a little further.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Arena Football TV on YouTube. Currently, they're at 924 subscribers as of this morning. And so they're looking to get 1,000. We're going to
keep the count, huh?
Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't take them too long. I think last week they were at 912 or something like that. Okay, so it might take them a little while, but they're creeping closer to 1,000. You can help them out by subscribing to Arena Football TV on YouTube. Subscribe to their channel. They've got tons of great games, and this week they posted a game from
a game from 2000 between the Carolina Cobras and the Tampa Bay Storm.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, the Cobras were an expansion team that year, and we were familiar with the Cobras. They came to Grand Rapids a few times. Right. They even beat us in a first-round playoff game after we won the Arena Bowl.
Yeah, that was
terrible.
I don't
like to bring it up, but
and now the Carolina Cobras are in another league.
But I don't even know if it's the same. They use the same name, but I don't know if
I don't think it's
if the ownership's the same or what.
No, but regardless, that name is out there.
Carolina Cobras is a great name, and they had a great helmet and logo back in the Arena days. But who was on the call? Oh, old Eli Gold, of course, our favorite Arena football announcer.
Yeah, and then Jill Arrington, she did like a 30-minute pregame show, and during that pregame show, she did a profile of Kurt Warner, from the Arena Football League to Super Bowl
because
MVP.
he was just going to, he just won the Super Bowl. So.
I don't think she actually interviewed him, but she was showing clips of an interview with him, and he was talking about what a great time he had playing in the Arena League. Kurt Warner, if you're listening, save the Arena Football League. Bring it back. It can be Kurt Warner's Arena Football League. I don't care. You're going to have a big payday from this movie coming out about your life. Somebody, please bring back the Arena Football League and help us all out.
We don't sound desperate at all, do we?
I was trying not to sound desperate, but I kind of did a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Eli Gold and just his voice and calling arena football games. He was really, really good. All right, we're going to move on to some obituaries, and this is where we take a moment to honor those who made the world of football a better place. And we're going to start with our first one is Joe Walton, a head coach in college and in the NFL. He's passed away at the age of 85. Walton was an end and a defensive end in college at the University of Pittsburgh. He was selected in the second round of the 1957 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins. He played in Washington from 57 to 1960, and for the New York Giants from 1961 to 63. He then went into coaching. He was an assistant coach with the Giants, Redskins, and the New York Jets before becoming the head coach of the Jets in 1983. Walton coached the Jets for 7 seasons through 1989. He then signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers as an assistant coach after that and spent 2 years there. And he finished his coaching career as the head coach of Robert Morris University for 20 seasons from 1994 to 2013.
All right, and of course, I get stuck with the hard names to pronounce. So my obituary that I'll read this week, or one of the two, is...
I'll tell you the last name.
No, I'm gonna give it a shot. All right, our obituary is that of Joe Tafani, who played in the NFL for 6 seasons. Did I say that right?
Tafoni.
Tafoni,
yes.
okay.
But close, very close.
Tafoni has passed away at the age of 76. Tafoni played his college football at West Virginia. He was selected in the 4th round of the 1967 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He played guard and tackle in Cleveland from 1967 to 1970 and finished his playing career with the New York Giants in 1972 and 1973. After retiring as a player, Tafoni went on to coach high school football in New Jersey.
Our next obituary is Greg Ogletree, who was a linebacker in college and in the NFL. He dies of complications of COVID-19 at the age of 53. Ogletree played college football at Auburn and was selected in the 7th round of the 1990 NFL Draft by the Cincinnati Bengals. He only played 1 season in the NFL, which was that 1990 season. Then he returned to Auburn to finish his degree. He went on to become a longtime pastor in the state of Georgia.
All right, and our final obituary this week is Robert Beau Scott, who was a running back in the CFL and the NFL and has passed away at the age of 78. Scott played college football at Ohio State and was selected in the 3rd round of the 1965 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He was also selected in the 20th round of the 1965 AFL Draft by the Oakland Raiders. He decided to sign with the Ottawa Rough Riders of the Canadian Football League. He played in Ottawa for 5 seasons from 1964 to 1968 and won a Grey Cup title in 1968. He then signed with Cleveland, where he played from 1969 to 1974. He scored the first ever rushing touchdown on Monday Night Football.
Isn't that incredible? You get drafted by 2 different leagues, the NFL and the AFL, and you decide to go sign with a CFL
Screw both of you, I'm going to Canada.
The money must have been that much better up in Canada than it was.
Isn't, correct me if I'm wrong, you took that tour of the Canton, Ohio. Didn't they have that immortalized, the first Monday night game? Was Cleveland and New York?
Yes. There's a mural on one of the downtown streets of the first Monday night. It was the Jets and the Browns. 1970. Yeah, 1970. Okay, we do have a couple of birthdays also today. John Gruden turns 58 today. He started out as an assistant coach in college at Tennessee, Southeast Missouri State, and at Pacific. And he had 1 season as an assistant with the 49ers, and then went back to the University of Pittsburgh for a year. He eventually became an assistant coach with the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles before becoming the head coach of the Oakland Raiders from 1998 to 2001. He also was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2002 to 2008, winning Super Bowl 37 with Tampa in his first season down there. He went into broadcasting for 10 years or so, and then returned to be the head coach of the Raiders in 2018, and today they are the Las Vegas Raiders.
He signed that big 10-year contract or whatever of undisclosed amount of money, I believe. Man, who knew? I've never heard of anybody signing a 10-year contract.
Yeah, that's unheard of.
So we'll see. He's got a few years left of that contract to fulfill.
And the other birthday today is Antoine Randall L., who turns 42 years old today. He played wide receiver at Indiana in college and was a second-round pick in the 2002 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He played for the Steelers from 2002 to 2005. He won Super Bowl 40 with the Steelers, which was played in Detroit. Mm-hmm. He went on to play for the Washington Redskins from 2006 to 2009, and he finished his career back with the Steelers in 2010, and he's the current wide receivers coach of our beloved Detroit Lions.
Yes, one of many former players now on the coaching staff there with Detroit.
Yep. Okay. Any other news that I missed? Anything that popped up on your phone while we've been talking?
No breaking news. We are good. I mean, it's real early in the morning, so
yeah, there'll probably be a ton
of stuff that we'll unfortunately have to miss on this edition of the podcast. So
yeah, we'll catch it up next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to this week's history lesson. And this week we have the story about the origin of how the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame got their nickname. In 1924, Notre Dame was led by a backfield that would become legendary in college football history. But just how that nickname came about is not as simple to answer as you might think. Coach Knute Rockne was not only a great innovator in his day, he was also way ahead of his time when it came to promoting the exploits of his football team. Each year, he would hire a Notre Dame student to act as a reporter/publicity aide for the team. In 1924, that student was a sophomore by the name of George Strickler. On Wednesday, before Notre Dame played Army at the Polo Grounds in New York, Strickler went to the movies and saw a silent picture starring Rudolph Valentino called The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. At halftime of the Notre Dame Army game on Saturday, October 18, 1924, Rockne told Strickler to go to the press box and eavesdrop on the reporters who were covering the game. He wanted to know what they were saying about his team. The reporters were all commenting on the outstanding play of the four members of the Notre Dame backfield, and Strickler interjected, "Yeah, just like the Four Horsemen," in reference to the movie. There was no reaction at the time from the assembled group of reporters, which included legendary sports writer Grantland Rice. Following Notre Dame's 13-7 win over Army, Rice immortalized the Fighting Irish backfield in his syndicated Sportlight column. The article started out with what has become one of the most famous passages in sports history. Outlined against a blue-gray October sky, the Four Horsemen rode again. In dramatic lore, they are known as famine, pestilence, destruction, and death. These are only aliases. Their real names are Stooldreer, Miller, Crowley, and Leyden. The week after the game, Strickler arranged to have a picture taken of the four backfield members on horseback. That photograph itself has become one of the most iconic pictures in college football history. It even appeared on bottles of beer from the Four Horsemen Brewing Company out of South Bend in the mid-2000s. Rice had actually used the Four Horsemen moniker in articles prior to the 1924 Notre Dame Army game, but it never stuck in the mind of the public until he used it in reference to the Notre Dame football players. He first used it in 1922 when he wrote about the upcoming World Series and used the phrase, "the Four Horsemen of Autumn." He used it again just weeks before the Notre Dame Army game when he described the four best players on the American polo team as the Four Horsemen of Polo. While Grantland Rice was the one who wrote the phrase in his article, Strickler also used the term the Four Horsemen in the press box that day and arranged for the iconic picture to be taken a few days later. George Strickler went on to become the sports editor of the Chicago Tribune. Did Grantland Rice take his cue from Strickler that day, or was it all Grantland Rice's idea? We may never know. All we do know is that between the two of them, they set in motion the events that, to this day, has produced one of the greatest nicknames in college football history. By the way, the Four Horsemen led Notre Dame to a college football national championship in 1924.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we all know who the Four Horsemen are. I was a little confused when you picked this as a topic this week because I thought, didn't you do this before? Haven't we talked Four Horsemen?
I don't believe we've done this as a history lesson. I had another one I was going to do that I looked back and I said, oh, we already did that one. I was going to talk about Alex Karras and Paul Hornung being suspended for a year in 1963, and I look back and
you did that
we
one.
did that in our first year. But we've talked about doing some, repeating some of our history lessons.
Dusting them off, cleaning them up, I'm running
out
them.
of I'm running out of history lessons. I mean, I still seem to come up with them all the time. But every once in a while, I think we might, depending on the circumstances, if something's going on in the news, or a person does something that is noteworthy, we might dust off an old history lesson about that person or that game or event and bring it back, because not everybody has been listening to us for the last 4 years
or watching us.
There's so there's a lot of our history lessons out there, over 200. So we just may
so much that you could probably fill a book with them. You'd think.
Maybe.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Upcoming events. This Saturday, the 28th. Or is that this Saturday? Or is that a week from Saturday?
That's a week from Saturday.
Week from Saturday. Okay. The 28th is week 0 in college football. They have 5 games currently scheduled. Nebraska at Illinois, UConn at Fresno State, Hawaii at UCLA, UTEP at New Mexico, and Southern Utah at San Jose State.
Yep.
So week 0, which I think is kind of silly, but whatever. Why can't it just be week 1?
Well, because week 1 is when everybody else starts playing.
Whatever. And then next is Sunday, September 5th, the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic at Tom Benson Stadium in Canton, Ohio, where Grambling will be taking on Tennessee State. I would really kind of like to go see that game.
I can go see that game.
I just might. I've got to convince myself to make another.
Oh, please! You have to convince
4-hour drive to go. I know, but I would like to go. I've always wanted to see Grambling as a team play, and this would be the perfect opportunity. They're only 4 hours from here, so I might have to pull the trigger on that game.
Do it.
And then finally, for upcoming events, Thursday night, September 9th, the NFL regular season begins with the Dallas Cowboys taking on the world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep. Yeah, NFL season right around the corner. Only 2 more weeks of preseason, and then we're going to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yep.
Let's get past this preseason crap.
All right. And that's everything on our rundown for this week.
Yeah, wow. What a good show, everybody. I mean... To our 2 camera operators, congratulations, you got through the whole show.
Yeah, that's all you.
To the talent, I'm surprised, your head didn't explode from how big your ego is.
You made me read this off an iPad.
Yeah,
today.
This is a big first for you.
I've always printed things off on paper, and now that people are seeing us on video, it didn't look real good to having me having my glasses on and having
it's a learning experience.
Paper up to my face. So yeah, we're trying something different. Can't say that I'm comfortable with it yet.
Hey,
but
I think if my opinion means anything, and it should mean everything,
it doesn't.
You did a great job. I was a little nervous about you and the iPad. I was waiting for some technical difficulties during the middle of the show, like, how do I get it to scroll? What's this notification that keeps popping up?
I was afraid to touch the thing because it's like barely standing up, and I thought, oh God, I'm gonna knock it over and lose my place, and
it's gonna be a big bang on the audio.
Yeah.
No, you did great, champ. Congratulations, you did it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 21st century.
Thank God this one's over. All right, well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
Like The World of Football on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TWOF Kalamazoo. That's where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, highlights, videos, and whatever else we find interesting in the world of football. You can also find a lot of those same things on our Twitter, which is @TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo. So please subscribe, rate, review, let us know what you think. Give us that like on the YouTube. Like I said, it's going to be a whole experiment thing. So you might not see videos from today's show today.
Yeah.
We're busy.
No, probably not.
But I think we're going to get into the habit of, hey, Tuesday you get the audio. We're everywhere. And then the next day, we'll start popping out some of the best of videos, or we'll see how we want to break that up. It's going to be an experiment. And, hey, feel free to let us know what you think works, what doesn't work. like I said, this is a work in progress. We're experimenting.
Absolutely.
We just want to make the best product that is entertaining to people, and that is easy on us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, hey, we put a lot of work into this as it is.
You
I'm fine
spent
with
2
it.
days of just your face in the screen editing the hour and a half show we did last week, which was way too long.
Hold on. Well, it was
It was a long show, and it was way too long.
It was an
to spend
anniversary
editing.
show, so whatever.
Right.
I'm fine with posting the whole thing.
Right.
I was mainly consumed with just learning everything. Like, now that I know how everything works, it's going to be a lot easier. That's the whole thing.
Right.
You got to do it first, get used to it, then it gets easier. But I know we're running a little long, or a little under what we normally do. But you wanted to wrap this up in about an hour.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and you got somebody coming over to look at some a bee issue.
Actually they're wasps, so
wasp issue.
we have some wasps around the house that we need taken care of. I got stung pretty bad on the back of my leg the other day. I mowed over the little hole where the wasps were at in the backyard, and oh my gosh.
So you got that. I've got to work a totally different shift for the next couple of weeks, which sucks. And I'm helping family out by walking a dog for the week. So.
Yep.
I got to go take care of that here in a bit, too. So
lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff. Man, we are busy. I'm exhausted. You're busy. I walked about 10 miles yesterday between this new job and walking a dog.
Yeah.
I think it was about 12 miles I walked yesterday altogether. I'm beat.
Well,
I haven't walked that much in a day in ever, probably.
I've been doing a mile and a half every morning.
Cool. You
for
only
a while.
got to...
It was really foggy this morning, and I wanted to wait, but the fog really didn't lift till after 10 o'clock. So once you got out there, it was okay. I wore a reflective vest, so I didn't get run over by a car. But
Good, thank goodness.
But the weather was great for at 7 o'clock in the morning to do that.
Maybe you need to wear the reflective vest for the show so we know where you are at all times.
No, you know where I'm at. All right.
Is it at Randy Snow 22 on Twitter?
It might be. All right, well, just remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. I mean, we're talking NFL, CFL, IFL, XFL,
NAL,
any kind of FL that's out there. We love it.
And if he had his way, we'd talk lingerie football every day. So,
well, when they start playing, we might just do that.
Oh, man.
Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow, dragger of people into the 21st century.
And I'm being dragged. See you all next week.